Welcome to the SaaS AdLab podcast, where we bring to you the stories of SaaS founders, entrepreneurs, and CEOs. My name is Luis. I'm the owner and founder of Fantôm agency, a digital marketing agency specializing in scaling SaaS companies. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing Raitis. He is the head of marketing over at Printful, huge global company. You've probably heard before. If not, you've probably received a product that came from them. So that's pretty exciting. So Raitis, please tell us a little bit more about yourself, your background, and really, how it was that you ended up at this amazing company.
So hi, my name is Raitis. I'm head of marketing, so I'm glad to be on the show. So I've been part of the company for almost 3 years, and when I joined the team, we were just 5, and now a little less than 3 years after joining the company, we are almost 40 people doing the global marketing, and not just in English, but already in French, Japanese, Spanish, and German as well. So it's pretty amazing to see the growth. And honestly, I wouldn't imagine that I will have this opportunity to experience that all now on this stage.
Mm-hmm, totally. So again, just do you have any sort of, kind of other metrics that people might want to understand a little bit more about Printful? It's, fulfillment center for pretty much any, and you guys, you have companies working with you that are enterprise companies, or you have your drop shippers doing print on demand and stuff like that. What's essentially like the biggest problem that you guys are solving?
So we enable anyone to start your own e-commerce store. Previously, in the old school way, you had to find a supplier and you have to risk with some kind of money. And probably if you wanted to order a t-shirt with a design, you had to probably order 20, 50 to get a good price. Mm-hmm. And we are removing these obstacles. So we don't have any minimums. There's nothing in place. So you can test your idea. You can even start your own e-commerce store. It will take you a shorter time than getting a burger in and out restaurant. And we have to test that. So you can easily test the idea, easily test the designs and the products. And if someone buys it, it doesn't matter 1 or 2 items. There's a partner you can print it and ship to end customer. Right. If it's 1,000 items, we're also here to help. So it doesn't matter how big your business, or you're doing for a longer time in the game, or just starting and just playing around. You want to just become an entrepreneur. We are enabling that.
Right. So just making it super easy for really anyone that has an idea, that has some sort of product, printing as part of it, to make that just a really easy process. And to be honest, and I don't know that anyone in this show knows this, but I started a clothing company. That was one of my first companies that I started, and I had to do it the old way. And I don't even know, I don't think that it wasn't that Printful wasn't around. I just wasn't aware of it, right? So I had to go through like Ali and find a supplier through them and stuff like that. So there's definitely like a lot of steps that going through Printful is going to save you. So if you're interested in that, just try it out. They're also providing free samples. So once you create your account, you get free samples of the product. So check that out. So now let's talk a little bit more about like marketing and the things that have worked really well for Printful, right? With being a global company, and first, why don't you tell us a little bit more about like how many customers does Printful currently, or not even customers, but companies, right? Does Printful work with?
So on our customer base, we have more than 1 million registered users, mm-hmm. but not all of them are active ones. So not all of them are running the e-commerce store. That's pretty damn hard, actually. Right. And most of them try something, and at the end of the day, it's probably for them it's hard to get the traffic who's willing to buy the design. Mm-hmm. So I can't reveal the number how many active customers we have on the base. But in this last 6 years, when we have Printful, we have printed more than 20 million items. So you can imagine what is the scale of our business. And we have tens of thousands of customers using our platform and helping them to actually run their own e-commerce business.
Mm-hmm. What are some of the, and I did a little bit of research as far as like what kind of advertisements you guys are running, what platforms are you using and how you're leveraging those. But I want to hear what like your take on it first, right? Like what are the things that are, working at a high level? Like don't get into like super details, but just like what's been like the one thing that if you turn it on tomorrow, that people are going to come in.
So I wouldn't say that there's something which can like turn on and it's gonna work. It's been years in a process. So one thing is content marketing. We are making sure that our content is easily readable by Google. So SEO is one of the huge factors why we are in the place where we are. So, and generally, content marketing team is educating the whole market about print on demand, drop shipping, that there's even something like that similar. You also mentioned that you weren't aware about something like that.
Right.
Then second part is partnership integrations. So early stages, we had our app on a Shopify. So for any e-commerce platform, for them to have a customer, they need something to sell. We also enable them. So we allow them to actually have something to sell on their platform. Otherwise, there's also no business for e-commerce platforms as well. And the third part, we are playing with paid ads, Facebook, Google, but it's not working as we would like to because still it's a still young, not so known business model how you can get into the game. So for us it's easier to work for those who are in the e-commerce for some time,
right,
and are a little bit familiar and have an idea. So content marketing is the biggest factor of where we are growing.
Right. And when I did like I mentioned, like you can go on pretty much, like you can go on Google and find the ads, you can go on Facebook and find the ads. So I did that for Printful, and I noticed that one of the things that you guys were pushing was a lot of content, which makes sense, right? And when you say it's not working, I guess you can kind of go back and like look at the metrics for that and stuff, right? Because if you're using content, like and everything that I saw on there is very educational, right? Like how to start your own Shopify store, like how do you say, like what is print on demand, how do you drop ship products and stuff like that. So I guess my guess here is that it's not that maybe it's not working. It's helping create brand awareness. For one, you're creating brand awareness for a whole industry, right? Instead of just Printful, because not everyone is aware. So there you're pretty much capitalizing on the fact that, and not really capitalizing, it's more like you have to spend your own money, not only to get your customers, but to also educate people on what it is. And then once they know that, like they might come to you, it is possible that they go to a competitor once they're aware of, what it is and stuff like that. So I can see that. I also went on LinkedIn and I saw the ads that you guys were running on there, and it looks like on LinkedIn you're going after the enterprise companies. So what is, when you're targeting enterprise deals, and obviously those are gonna, or maybe, I don't know, this is something that you might know, but like my guess is that they take longer to close, but obviously when they do, there's maybe contracts and stuff like that, in between and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we are running ads, of course, and you're right that we're getting the whole industry about. But as we are one of the leading companies in the field, it's more beneficial to us because we believe we are the best in what we do. So that's the idea behind that. And it's for us is also not easy to calculate quickly ROI, because it's not an e-commerce store where you can go to the store, you buy the item. It's a longer process.
Right.
For you to start your own e-commerce store, some places even months into the place. So and we are really affected how you are passionate about the idea, because probably this will be your passive income stuff, and you will have to make sure that you spend a lot of time launching your store. And not everyone is okay with that. So of course we are thinking the way how we can go after enterprise as well. You saw the LinkedIn ads. We are playing with that. We are playing with account-based marketing. It's a trendy word for a while. And we have just a sales team. Basically, it was created a year ago. So it's also pretty new. And everything why we are in the place is actually because of the content marketing, that we are educating our customers what is print on demand. And by the end of the day, we are teaching them how to do marketing. So I'm saying that marketing team is educating others how to do marketing. Otherwise, as we don't have any subscription fee, nothing, we want to make sure that our customers are successful one. Otherwise, there will be no business for us. So we have to drive to the result.
So you and I totally agree with that. Right? Like if you need them to be successful with your product, for them to come back and keep doing it. Otherwise, it's just, I'm going to try it. And then, like you said, like you have a lot of customers that don't actually use, or a lot of users that don't actually, purchase products through Printful. So there's that kind of loop. So you're educating. And I did see those ads as well, where you're educating people how to market, or like how to find the perfect product and all these different things. So it makes sense. It could be, you're talking thousands of dollars for acquisition, hoping that these people come back and spend all that money, right, to essentially pay back what it costs to get them in the first place.
Sometimes it can take a year or even more to get that ad money back in our account.
Totally. As far as, leveraging customer data, how is Printful using that in order to like find better avenues to start, new marketing efforts, or continue, obviously, like double down on the ones that are working?
It's at the moment pretty hot topic in our team. So we have data, we have a lot of data, but it's now the way how we can actually use that. So one of the focus now is personalization from every aspect. And for example, for email sending, we're using Klaviyo. There's a lot of data, but we would like also use that data, for example, in our dashboard as well, to actually personalize the whole experience when we find a customer. And that's I'm looking that someone could help come into the game who already have done that and could help like put together all the dots, or could do the audit to figure out how we can actually do that. Of course, what we regularly do, we regularly survey our customers. We see which platforms they're selling. Are they selling multiple items? For example, are they selling just t-shirts, also leggings? Are they selling just on the shop floor? Are they also selling on Etsy, eBay, Amazon? So we are trying to push them in different directions, targeting the message that they could be more successful one. Like end of the day, they're getting more business to us.
Totally. Very cool. And you touched on this earlier, and I wanted to come back to it, which is, I think it's important for SaaS companies specifically, right? Partnerships, huge thing, right? Like if you can plug yourself into another big player like you guys did with Shopify, you can see a lot of really good things come from that. So what are the steps that I guess you're currently taking to find new partnerships that are going to be fruitious like that one? And what kind of advice do you have for maybe like an earlier stage company to approach others, to create these strategic partnerships?
So how we are looking now we have integrations with more than 14 or 15 platforms. In some cases, platforms already are going after us. So recently we launched also small integrations.
You guys are super big now.
Yeah, now we are not as big as maybe many e-commerce integrations, but now it's pretty good in this place, because I remember how it was 2 years ago. We had to reach out someone else, and now people are reaching out to us. So it's pretty good.
That's awesome.
And now the one thing we are maybe concentrating, and also recent launches shows that, is marketplaces. It's going to be a big trend, and making how to push our sellers to sell in as much marketplace as possible. So because you can also see as the big brands, they're selling more and more on Amazon, and there's like uprising platform as Wish, still there's eBay big, and then several seller markets as well. And actually in most of the cases, being part of the partnership with the e-commerce platform is not super expensive. So you can easily test the waters and see what's happening there. When you're becoming successful one, then they're starting maybe looking differently at you.
Yeah.
And our direction now is internationalization. So as we are launching website, we just launched a website in Spanish. I'm saying we are also playing around with different languages. So looking how we could be presentable in different markets. So that's also a focus, because not everything is what is popular in the US is popular in Europe and other parts of the country.
Totally. And not just that, but also the fact that, I'm from Mexico, and I noticed that, things don't get there at the same speed, right? So like something that is already a thing in the United States or in the UK or Europe, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a thing everywhere. So like if you go to Mexico, and I'm not sure, I haven't really spoken about this there to anyone there really, but my guess is that they're barely like touching the surface on things like drop shipping and print on demand and all those things. So how do you then tackle that barrier again? And it comes down to education, right? Like educating the people on what it is, how to use it, and all these things. But also, how do you break through the barrier of different cultures?
So it's also interesting for me as well. Before I joined Printful, I had never been to the US. So our core market, which is more than 80% of the whole business in the US. So also I had to get familiar with the whole US American culture as well. And as well, the whole team as well, who's doing the marketing for my team. And it's not easy. So I watched several, even historical movies to actually get to know the history and why people are thinking like that. Also the politics. So there's so many things you can learn and be educated about that. And but for example, your example about maybe Mexico, a country which is not so familiar about this field, but there's still some entrepreneurs who want to use that.
Totally.
Myself here, I'm sitting here in a country in Europe, Latvia, but I can start my own dropshipping business in the US.
Totally.
Because it helps with the Printful. I don't have to be there. I can do everything from the laptop, which I have here. I can run my e-commerce business because I have a partner there who can do the fulfillment, and it's my serviceable market. Right. And we have actually seen trend. I know Morocco is also an interesting place. We don't ship a lot of items there, but there's so many people from that country using us. Also, virtual assistants is also interesting. I think in Philippines, it's also, we get a lot of visits from there, but there's people using this virtual assistant world, helping them run their own store, their own business as well. So people who are looking for that passive income like direction, they usually find a way. So probably we can also find Printful name. I don't know how to earn money online. We can even find that kind of work. And in some case, we are maybe competing also with Uber and Airbnb, which in some cases is also your passive income stream.
Interesting.
And that's in some case, maybe far away, but it's pretty cool to put you next to these two brands as well. And that's what we have seen, because not everyone, but most of the customers who start using Printful, they want to become millionaires. They want that this will become their full-time thing. So that's the idea we're trying to sell to them.
As far as, and I think those are all great answers, and I thought it was pretty interesting, because you're taking even like a step further when you're looking at who's really competing, right? Because you're not competing with, at this point, a product-based service. It's almost like you're competing with the idea of being your own boss, your entrepreneur, and obviously making money initially on the side, hoping that you can make something bigger out of it. And I think that's absolutely spot on. So I can definitely agree with that statement. As far as marketing goes, and with so many moving pieces happening, like what's the most challenging thing?
Currently scaling the team, because it's pretty big. We doubled amount of the people we have on the team. So in this year, from 20 to 40 in this case, and to figure out how to create middle management and what's the process behind that. Honestly, there's not so many big content marketing teams doing something, especially in Europe as well. I would like to ask someone how you're doing that. My hack now currently is like messaging different bigger companies, their head of marketing on LinkedIn, hoping that they will get back to me. Because like the worst case scenario, they will not get back to me. The best case scenario, I will talk with them and maybe they could answer some few questions. So basically getting into their heads and seeing what they do. And the next biggest challenge is launching a new market. So in some case, we are following what Shopify does, and they are actively also launching new language on their website. And we want to enter as much market as possible, and not every market speaks English so well as it's in the US and in some parts of the Europe. and we have to offer this localization part, not just maybe languages, but also localization features, as no payment methods, currency. So that part is sometimes even bigger one, because we know that we have customers for all over the world. Also, other big companies have, but it's to create this friendly environment for them that they could trust their own business to us. So those are two biggest challenges, and sometimes even with new languages, it's a little bit easier to get in the market because half of the whole websites are in English. So, and like the percentage of how many Spanish sites there are, like 3 or 4%, something like that. So the competition is not so high, but still it's one of the most popular languages in the world.
Right. That's interesting because you mentioned going after like similar markets that Shopify is doing. And I'm sure you're doing analysis on that, not just with Shopify, but really with any sort of platform for, for e-com. And it's interesting because it's, and that too, you can almost look at what Stripe is doing, right? Because they actually, I don't know if you know, but I think today or recently they just released a couple new countries that they're available in.
Also, our country, Latvia. So I know that entrepreneurs are happy.
Right, exactly. So I saw a couple of friends that I have that they have stores or whatever it may be, and they were pretty happy about Stripe being available. So you can even see at what a payment processor in this case is doing, and what is going to be the next move. If you have now, you have Stripe available, that means that maybe more people are going to trust an online business and want to go after it. So it's maybe, the opportunity to maybe set up some sort of partnership if it's not already there with Stripe so that they can push you at the same time, and stuff like that.
So in our case, so maybe Stripe in our case is not so important as from the Printful side, but it's important from the e-commerce side. So, for example, Latvians are not able to have the smooth experience with Shopify. I'm talking about our own audience. In our case, we have to make sure that not everywhere they're using as MasterCard or Visa, their top choice, not even in Germany and France. Launching, for example, Apple Pay is also huge. That also could be in the game. So that part of the business we have to take care. In our case, sometimes it's even to we have our own business goals, sell anything anywhere. So currently we know that we have facilities in the US and we have now location in Europe, and the Amazon environment which you're living, they're pushing us that you can order something by the second day. So in our case, there's production time and also shipping time. And sometimes it's the main obstacle why people are not choosing maybe Printful. They're going with maybe a smaller provider with us. And so we have to think also about that aspect, that we offer the right products at the right time in the right location. It's not taking too long for us to fulfill and ship to the end customer.
Definitely. Another question here that just came up too is, how do you what kind of importance do you give to, say, competitors? How closely do you monitor what it is that they're doing?
How closely? So we check what they do for sure. And so we follow what kind of products they launch. Sometimes they just send to my email because I follow their newsletters, so that's not so hard. It's one of the hacks. But there's not so much data available about print on demand. So that's also one of the our issues to understanding what's our market share there is. Even and we can follow as much as we can, but from the data which they show on their website. So we are competing with them, and that's also good. We have to be better and better from time to time. But there's also a factor that maybe the whole market is not so big, that Amazon merch, they also have their own print on demand, but they can only sell on Amazon. They even don't share the information about how big Amazon merch is on their quarterly calls as a public company. So probably it's not so big a part of their business at the moment. So we're a little bit sad about that. So we better understand how that looks from the Amazon side. And we follow, of course, the products that they're launching, which integrations they're launching, and we are just trying to do it better and better than they are doing.
Good stuff. Now we'll get into a couple of more personal questions here. First of all, what is something that you're not very good at?
My English could be better.
Okay. And how are you working on that?
Every day. So team is really international. So, and I actually went to the classes twice a week for almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually listening to different podcasts and checking Netflix. I'm looking at my TV screen every day. So listening to a lot of English content and you also using participating in a podcast like this.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good conversation. So I agree. What is your biggest accomplishment within Printful?
Um, I would say that previously marketing team just was executing different other projects with other IT project managers think of, launching new products and like that. Now we are working on our own projects as, for example, marketing optimization basically wasn't in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a huge, and probably the biggest thing is the team. I have amazing team, the best team you can possibly care. And that's crucial to run a successful business or successful team. If you don't have the right people in the team, we wouldn't be in that place we are currently.
Right. That's awesome. That's really cool. What is the number one SaaS company that you kind of look up to? You love what they're doing. You kind of study like their steps and stuff like that.
Shopify.
Shopify. Great. And Raitis, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Instagram or on Twitter, also on LinkedIn. So Raitis Purins, you can easily find me by looking at that. So feel free to add to your LinkedIn or just follow me on social media.
Perfect. And one last question. Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah. So maybe talk what you do. What's your biggest challenge currently as a CEO of your company, Fantom?
Biggest challenge is probably putting the processes in place to make everything run as smooth as possible, right? Like sometimes you have just things that keep popping up and you don't necessarily I guess prioritization is one of them. Understanding still like what should be the thing that gets done first. Really, I guess really learning more about and this is part of the reason why the podcast is learning more of what the bigger players are doing, like what companies are struggling with and how we can become better to then help companies really overcome those struggles that they're currently facing.
I feel you. The prioritization is a big part of everyone on my team, and also with my manager as well. We are regularly talking about, and also the processes. They are coming more and more in place, and you have to constantly adjust them. I can't use the same process which I used like a couple of months ago because team are different, and the whole company has grown. But we had probably 100 people join our company this year alone in total.
That's some big changes.
Yeah.
Good.
Just in the office.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Raitis, so much for being on here today. It was really a pleasure having you, and make sure everyone to check out Printful. Awesome company doing awesome things, and we'll catch you on the next episode. And thank you, everyone, for watching and listening.
Thanks, Liz. It was great to be part of this.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye.